What up, peeps? It's Gabe.
And it's Babe.
And we're here for another couch conversation.
Woo!
You're so silly. Okay, so this week we're going to talk all about arguing.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay, I'm done with this.
Oh, horrible acting, right?
That's how good we are at arguing because we don't
do it. Yeah. So
I just give in and tell her she's right.
don't listen to him.
Nah, I'm just playing.
So yeah, anyway, we got a couple of questions about arguing. We didn't get very many. And I guess before we start, maybe we should talk about like our stance on arguing before we answer the questions.
Yeah, I think that's good.
You think so?
Yeah, so you want to go ahead, sweetie?
No, you go for it.
Alright, so for me, arguing, I grew up with a lot of arguing going on in the house. So for me, you know, I just really decided at a very young age that I didn't really have time for it when it came to the person that I was in a relationship with. When it comes to like if I'm with the guys or you know with somebody and they want to argue, I will be quicker to argue in that situation or debate.
Yeah.
I will be quicker to debate in that situation than I would with her, because for me with her, I don't ever want it to turn in. We'll debate, we'll talk about things, but I never wanted to turn into an argument because sometimes people get into that and it's all of a sudden this huge deal when you were talking about toast and if you wanted butter or peanut butter. Yeah. I mean, it can be something so small. Yeah. But yeah, so my stance. Yeah, so my stance really is just that. I mean, don't. I mean, I don't see the point in it. And if I feel like I'm right, but you know, sure I can sit there and go and no, I'm right. But sometimes you just swallow your pride, and relax. So that's kind of my stance. That's what my stance has been since a very young age.
Well, for me, I've never really been a fan of arguing, but I've argued in all of my relationships. Like it's, you know, I've been in relationships where we get into it and we argue and we're going back and forth. And it's just like, I'm not a fan of it. I've never ever been a fan of it. But I think it helps too that Chad is not a fan of it. So like even if I get like riled up, he shuts it down quickly. Like, cause he doesn't even like he doesn't even react. So it's not even that I try to argue, but like if we get into a disagreement or something and I want to like, I mean, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
No, but it doesn't get to that point.
It doesn't get to that point because he shuts it down.
Yeah, I don't
react.
I don't antagonize or instigate it more.
And I think that that's the key. Like that's what I'm trying to say. In my previous relationships, you know, it was with people that would antagonize or would keep going forward or would want to be right and prove their point. So, you know, you want to get the last word or you want to make sure that what you're saying is going to cut them or whatever, you know. So that's why, you know, I've argued in my previous relationships before, but I don't like to argue. I'd rather not. Like, we can agree to disagree for all I care. Like, let's just not talk about it anymore, you know. So, I mean, certain things need to be addressed, but you can have a discussion without arguing, and that's the big difference. So like when we say we don't argue, like I think that people think that we are lying, or that we're like, oh, you know, nobody's perfect, y'all got to be arguing. No, you don't have to be arguing.
I mean, really. Like, and don't believe me, we're not perfect. We're not saying we're perfect, but we choose to be bigger than that. Yeah. Because for us, we just don't want it to turn into something where we have this animosity towards each other over something so minute. Because if you really look at the root cause of an argument, it's usually minute.
Unless you got some big problems.
Or unless you got big problems. If you've got big problems, well then that's a different story. Yeah. But usually a common argument that's not over anything major is usually started over something so, I mean, it could be started over $20. I mean, it's something so small. But yeah, so I think that's kind of our stances. It also gives you a little bit of an intro to what, you know, we'll cover as we're answering some of the questions. Yeah. But I think the only two questions we got were, how do you handle arguments, and how to argue fairly. Okay. I guess we'll just kind of start with, you know, we'll probably cover both, but you know, we'll kind of start with you know, how to argue fairly. And again, this is strictly for us. So how we do it, hopefully you can take something away from it. If not, you know, it might not work for everyone. But for us, I think that since we don't argue, we don't choose to get to that level, but we do debate. Again, we do debate. We do have discussions.
Disagreements. Like, we don't agree on everything.
No, we do disagree about things. We do, but we choose to handle those disagreements there in the moment.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we've had maybe 3 arguments in the time that we've been together. Maybe 3. And one was actually caught on tape. If you guys have been around long enough,
go see the argument
seen
video.
The argument video.
And she was actually pregnant.
I was pregnant. I was in my first trimester.
So she was very
snappy and hormonal and moody.
Because if we look,
because I know somebody's gonna be like, "Well, y'all got an argument video." Yes, we have one argument video. That was probably our 2nd argument ever in life.
Exactly.
So.
And if you look at the reason for it, it was small.
Yeah, it was so.
Yeah.
Like now, I'm like, seriously, why was I even upset?
But you know, it's just, you know, again, it just is what it is. But we use that situation, learn from it, and realize, wait, really, did we just really argue about that?
Was it really that crucial over a suit jacket? No, Gabriel. Completely overreacted. Blame it on hormones.
For us, arguing fairly. So since we don't argue, we disagree. If we disagree about something, we let each other talk. We, you know, if I have a point, I get my point across because she'll let me get my point across. If she has a point, then I will do the same. I let her talk, let her say her point, and then we give rebuttals. I mean, we debate. I mean, you know, we debate about the decision in a, you know, almost a defense lawyer prosecutor way, where
it's really interesting.
we go back and forth until we all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Okay, well, okay, let's do this then. So, you know,
we come to some type of a compromise. If we don't completely agree,
exactly,
we'll come to a compromise.
Yeah, exactly. And usually, by the way we do it, we usually come to an agreement. We usually don't have to do a compromise. We usually be like, you know what? Okay, we'll do that. That makes a lot of sense. But that's needed in a relationship.
It is.
You need to challenge each other to be better. You know, and I think that's what we do when we're talking about these situations. We're challenging each other to make a good decision.
Yeah, and I think the key is like when you're listening, because a lot of times when you start arguing, you tune out what's being said because you're so concerned with getting your point across. And you completely miss what the other person is saying. So when you stop and you actually listen and you're not cutting that person off and you're not trying to get the last words, and you can hear what they're saying, and sometimes it may actually make sense. Like your point may be the wrong point, or it might not be the right way. Like once you listen, it's like, okay, maybe you got a point there. I can see what you're talking about. But if you're so busy yapping and fussing, then you're going to completely miss that. So I think that's why it's so easy for us to come to, you know, a consensus, because we actually listen to what the other person has to say. I'm not rolling my eyes and throwing my hand up and going in one ear and out the other. No, I'm actually really listening to what he has to say, because I think when you love someone and when you respect that person, that's to be expected. Like, you should want to treat them that way, even if you don't see eye to eye. Like, what causes people to get so rude and nasty and mean off of an argument? Like, if this is supposed to be the love of your life, where did that come from? Like, you're not supposed to treat them that way. So, and you know, I know feelings come into play, but you have to learn how to cartel your feelings and get out of your feelings sometimes, because feelings will make arguments go completely, just south.
It is easy to say you have forgiven someone or you've moved on from a situation, but you truly haven't. Okay, I truly believe that you should forgive and that you don't have to forget, but that doesn't mean that you're not forgetting to bring it back up again later.
Yeah, it's kind of like
you're not forgetting because you want to. For me, I feel like you're not forgetting because you don't want to ever feel like that again. So you want to make sure that you understand how you got to that feeling, that that emotion, and so that you can keep yourself, acting like an adult.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't forget something. But forgiving, if you say you forgive, you say that you've forgiven the person, then do it. Because if you bring it up later, or you harbor it into another argument, or then
That's fighting unfair.
That you're fighting unfair.
When you're bringing up previous arguments and previous situations, that should have no place in what the current argument is about. So I think that's a major point in arguing fairly is, you know, argue about the topic at hand.
Argue in the moment. I'm
not about to bring up something that happened 5 years ago or 5 months ago or 5 days ago, and you know, if I didn't bring it up then, I'm not about to bring it up now because you pissed me off this morning. That is completely unfair. Like, don't do that in a relationship.
Yeah, because what it does is instantly, you know, your guard goes up. If you're that other person, instantly your guard goes up, and then once the guard goes up on one person, the conversation's over.
Yeah.
Because then all it is just one person going, the other person.
Yeah, it's a wrap. You completely tune them out.
And tuning out, and then so guess what? Now the person that's talking feels like they're getting disrespected because the person's not listening. The person that's tuned out or checked out already felt disrespected because they got attacked with a bunch of different things, and therefore your conversation about toast and whether you're going to butter or peanut butter has turned into a potential let's go file divorce papers.
Do you eat peanut butter on toast? Who eats peanut butter on toast? Really?
Some people. I mean, I think so.
You want butter or peanut butter?
I'm just saying. Like, but that's how small an argument can be. But it turns into all of a sudden.
It just spirals.
It turns into a snowball effect. Y'all have heard the snowball effect, right? I mean, that's what it turns into. And we're not talking about Dave Ramsey. We're not talking about that snowball. We're talking about the argument snowball here.
Starts from one thing, and then you bringing up how you don't like your in-laws and they done pissed you. I mean, like it can get bad.
And y'all know, we ain't lying right now. You know that arguments turn into like straight out wars. Yeah. I mean, over
what?
Over what? So I think that's kind of how we try to keep it fair.
Yeah. I think it's kind of answered both.
And I guess that kind of handles how we handle arguing.
I think that covers them both.
I think it really, actually does. I think.
Bottom line, don't argue.
Yeah, don't argue.
Like, don't do it. Or if you find yourself in an argument, if you find yourself in an argument, take a minute to just really think about why you're arguing. Like, do you really have a valid point? Are you just trying to get your point across? Do you want to have the last word? Are you trying to top this person and cut them with your words? Like, just think about all of these things. Like, why are we really arguing? Is it really necessary? Could we be using this time to do something else? Like, you know, spend some quality time together, or enjoy a movie, or walk outside. Like, you know, and sometimes you don't want to talk about certain things. So if you're at a point where you don't want to talk about it, you know, I think that your spouse or whoever you're arguing with should respect that. You know what, at this point, I'm really, really heated. I'd rather not talk about it right now because I might say some things that I don't mean or that I don't need to say. So let me take a minute, and then we can discuss it later. Like,
and that's a good point.
Yeah.
But here's the thing to be careful, in my opinion, is that don't start the argument or that debate. Like trying to get your point across real quick.
Oh, and then you don't.
And then all of a sudden you don't want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that, because the thing is, if you don't want to talk about it, then you don't want to talk about it
at all.
At all. Take your time. If you start by going off the bat, you know what, I told you I wanted butter on my toast. I don't know what you put peanut butter on there for. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they try to say, well, I didn't know, I don't want to talk about it.
No,
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. Guess what? That's disrespecting your significant other. That's basically not giving them a chance to defend. They feel attacked now, and now animosity gets harbored, all because you said you didn't want to talk about it, but then you did. So just be careful about that, you know, because
that's a good point.
And believe me, we've all done it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, look in the mirror, you'd be like, yeah, I've done that too.
I'm just saying my point.
I've done that too.
I don't want to hear what you got to say, but you need to listen to me.
Yeah.
What sense does that make?
Exactly. Yeah. So, but we ain't preaching. We just giving you our opinion.
That's how it works for us.
And you know, hopefully someone can, somebody can take something from this and help your relationship. And if you got any pointers or you got any ideas for us or for other people that are gonna watch this video, you know, please leave a comment.
Leave them down below. Yeah, I mean, I think that we can all help each other. Like, we've all been through different experiences, so you can share what works for you, what doesn't work for you, or, you know, if you feel like we left out something that's key, put it down there.
Please.
Like, we read them, and everybody else reads them. All of our viewers, you guys all read comments and comment back, which is cool. So
yeah, no, it's good that you guys interact. I think that
it's like a community.
It is. It's like a family. So I kind of challenge. I want to do a little challenge here. Okay, so this kind of just came to me about how, and because this is new to us, this is gonna be new to us. You know, we have CJ. He's young. We're learning how to be parents. There's a lot of you that are parents and been parents for a long time. How do you handle arguments or potential arguments or debates about raising your children?
That's a good question.
You know? How do you handle a situation like that? I think that's some of the things that we're going to be faced with. You know,
yeah, we haven't really had to deal with it yet, but I'm sure at some point.
And I'm sure there's a lot of young parents that are going through the same thing as us, as we're just learning. So, yeah, so if you got any, you know, past experiences or whatever, then, you know, please, you know, leave a comment, let us know, and it'd be kind of interesting to see. So
good deal. So yeah, I think that's it for that question, guys. Hopefully this was a short couch conversation. I'm trying to make them a little shorter because y'all know we can get to going and we'd be rambling forever.
It's because you just be talking.
Really? Anyway, guys.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, babe, your toast is ready.
Okay. Are you kidding me? I wanted butter. What?
I thought you said you wanted butter.
I don't want to talk about this.